I'm afraid that Meiro, Meikyuu no Tatsujin is a bit of a slight game. One of those games that came and went without making any impact, and the game itself is just there. The last mention I could find of this game on Twitter before this recording was over 6 months ago. Meiro might as well be a game that doesn't even exist. But I'm here to document these, so at least there's a record of them somewhere. Meiro is a game where you explore first-person mazes. The plot of the game occupies 2 lines in the manual. You're a treasure hunter, and you're going into mazes. From the view of things, you might expect it's an RPG, but no, there's really no conflict here, no monsters to fight, no levels to gain. Your goal is to find 9 treasure chests in each maze, and that assembles a key that will let you go out the exit. The hearts on the right-hand side are your power, and they decrease with the number of steps that you take. If it runs out, then it's game over, and you just redo the maze from the start again. There are 28 mazes to conquer, and there's 7 themes across 4 difficulty levels. You can jump straight to the final set of 7 if you really want to. There are power-ups you can find in the maze. Sometimes they'll just be laying out in the open, and other times you'll find a circle on the wall that you have to walk into, and that will trigger a mini-game. You first select which item that person possesses that you want to get, and then they randomly choose which of 3 mini-games you'll play. There's a card game where you and your opponent are dealt a handful of cards, and then you play them one at a time, and whoever played the highest card wins. The computer typically plays their cards from lowest to highest, so you can take advantage of that to get a couple of extra wins. The cube maze is the most difficult of the mini-games. Here you have a certain number of moves in which to move the cube to the goal. The cube can move onto the colored squares if the face on top of the cube matches the color underneath it. This one can be extremely difficult because if you don't do it just right, then it's over before it began. The third item granting minigame is one of those ladder games where you move across on each rung. You have 3 bombs with which you can delete rungs as your character moves though. This is probably the easiest of the minigames because even as it gets more difficult, it's not hard to lock yourself in place. All of these minigames have variable difficulty, starting out fairly easy and then increasing over time. If you fail a minigame, it costs you some power, but you can go right back in to try once more. In fact, even if you win, you could go right back in and try for the other items. The other minigame spot is the heart, and this is always a slot machine that will grant you health. You can either match 3 of the same symbol, or just get the heart symbols, which will always give you that many hearts. It's really easy to come out ahead on this one because you control when the wheels stop. As for the items that you can get, hearts just give you back a point of power, and the amphora increases your maximum hearts by 5. You can collect multiples of those. Collecting the compass adds a guide in the upper right to which direction you're facing, not the most useful of item. Bombs can destroy certain wall segments that are marked with a bomb. To use a bomb or any of the usable items, you hit B to bring up the menu, select it, and then hit A. The rings and brooms work together. The ring marks a location for teleportation, and the broom carries you there. If you haven't marked anything in that maze, then the broom takes you to the start. These are really useful for marking the stairs and exits when you haven't found all of the key pieces yet. The final item are the spectacles. If you hit select, you'll see an overhead view of your surroundings, and when you collect the spectacles, it increases that sight radius by 1. Using the overhead view costs 2 hearts, so you don't want to use it very often, but it is helpful on the more complex stages when you're drawing a map. Each stage is its own dungeon, and there can be multiple floors to it. The ways up and down are these shimmering portals. Well, the exit is a shimmering portal with a hole in it. The largest dungeons have 5 floors, and there might be multiple sets of stairs to each floor. And, well, that's Meiro. This is a game that does exactly one thing, lets you run through 3D mazes, and it does it about as well as you could expect on the Famicom. But you have to really love sitting down with a sheet of graph paper and mapping out your maze if you want to play this one. There's just nothing to it except that.